Hey guys, it's Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studio. Welcome back. Today I'm going to revisit something that I just did this past weekend, I believe. I finished editing the video yesterday and it was so darn long. And I decided, you know what, there's different ways to do this and I think I can do a better job at this. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. But here on the screen you can see what we're working with. It's the shutter card, or the aperture card. I think they call it shutter card. Anyway, I saw a picture, and I apologize to the lady whose picture I saw, but she created a template to use for her shutter card, so she could get that center square here placed perfectly every time. And I thought, well, what a great idea, because I do love a template. But during the course of designing this card to be cut out in Design Space with your Cricut, I realized you don't really need that. There's so many other ways to get around actually having that template. So anyway, trying to keep this video a little shorter, I'm going to try to show you what I think I've decided is a quicker and easier way. I haven't uploaded that other video yet because honestly I don't know if anybody's got the patience to sit there for an hour and watch me try to figure this out. So today we're going to try and streamline this a little bit, but I will still share the file, this original file, with you, and we'll go from there. Anyway, this card that we were talking about was a faux shutter card with a template. So they didn't use the traditional strips that went up through, you know, these strips that angle out from the aperture. They used just a background piece, this kind of pinkish plumish piece in the background. Let's see if we can just, well, it's attached. Anyway, it's just a background piece, and then they cut out these separate ones to go over it instead of cutting out these lines or strips to go around the aperture. Now I'm not sure that's easier. I did put these two cards together. I did go ahead and make two cards. I'll show them here. Insert cards here. One of the things I did, because I could do it with the Cricut, was I did create embossing lines. If it will let me detach everything for a second. And I created these, or score lines, if you will, so that I would know where my pieces actually go. And that did help a little bit as far as placement goes, since you're not actually using these strips down the middle here. So that's what we're going to try and recreate today. I'm just going to see if I can go back and undo all that. Okay, so we're going to scroll down and get us a fresh screen. So one of the things you want to do I like to do anyway, is I like to start with my card base, whatever size I'm going to use, and I typically use 5.5 by 4.25. So I'm going to create my shape, and I'm going to use a rectangle, and to allow for some outer margin, or what do you call that, that space around that frame, I'm going to actually make it, well, let's unlock that first. I'm actually going to make it 4 by 5.25, so 4 by 5.25, and we're changing that to a different shade. Okay, so that's my card base right there. Now your aperture, most people have been using the squares, and there are all kinds of videos out there to show you how to put these together. I don't know that any of them are Cricut videos. I was just looking this morning to see if I could find the other lady's video, and I wasn't able to find it, which is why I can't give you her name, the lady with the template. But there are lots of videos out there for aperture cards. So most people are using the square, which on point, I guess, is kind of a squared diamond. And to just insert your square, it comes in at 2 by 2, which I decided was a good size for me. You can make that larger or smaller depending on what you want to put in your focal square. I'm going to leave it at 2 by 2 just because that was a good size. And I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees so that it's on point. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to undo that. I do this all the time. I should make notes and then work off those. What I determined was it's probably easier to add your strips before you turn it on point. So I'm going to change the color on that one too, just because I don't like that dark gray. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this one, and then we're going to resize it again. And what I want is, 1/2 inch is too wide for me. I don't like it that thick. 1/4 inch is better. I actually even like it a little bit smaller, but we'll work with the 1/4 inch, and then we'll change the color on that. Something bold that will stand out, like that deep purple. Now I do think I want it a little bit longer, and you'll see why here in a little bit. So let's just go ahead and take that up to 7. So one of the things that I determined was it's easier to place these strips before you turn this on point, and then you can group everything together and then turn it 45 degrees. So what I want to do is, I'm going to line this up at the 9. So I'm going to go up here to the position, and I'm going to change that to 9. And then I'm going to take this one, and I can't actually change that one to 9 because it works with the front of the image instead of the back of the image. But it's a 1/4 inch, so what I should be able to do is go 0.875, right? Let's see. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can see that a little bit better. So yeah, that should do it. So now I've got that one, and the focal point, that's what I'm going to call it, the focal point, or if it were a real shutter, it would be your lens. And I'm going to align those at the top. And it's right there. And then I want to take and duplicate this, and I might as well do it a couple more times. 2, 3. We've got 3 sides. I don't think I really need to do it that way, but we will just in case. So just for safety's sake, so I don't reposition stuff accidentally, I'm going to group those. So now I'm going to take this one, and I want to turn it 90 degrees. And I want to take that there, and that should be at 9. Remember, we're working with 9, so I'll make it 9. And then I'm trying to get it to line up exactly at the bottom. You know what? Well, that won't work. Okay, we're just going to eyeball it. So I'm just going to zoom in really close, and we're just going to move it up until it looks like it's touching, and I think we can go a little bit more. All right, so, and the other thing you can do is, I'm going to zoom back out a little bit here, is you can take this one and you can move it over just a little bit more if you're not sure. That way you know you're going to get a nice clean weld right there in the corner. So let's take this now, and we'll zoom back out and grab one of our other strips, and let's see if I can just bring this a little closer. This one, oh, Control Z, I want to put that back where it was. Let's grab this one, and it may be too long. Nope, it'll fit. Okay, so this one, if this is 8.75 all the way over the edge, but the edge of the square is 9, and it's a 2-inch square, we know we want this at 11. So just get rid of that and make that 11 exactly, and then scroll down. Or not scroll down, but slide it down, just so that I get a nice clean weld here. I don't want any gaps in that joint there. So we'll zoom back out, and now we've got our last one here, and we're going to rotate that 90 degrees. And we're going to position that. Now this one, the right side should be at 11, but that's not how that works, so it doesn't matter because we're just going to go past that. What I do want to do though is I want to make sure I've got a nice tight joint over here in this corner, and if I zoom in further you can see there is a gap. So I'm going to select this one and scroll down a bit, and there's still the tiniest gap there, so I'm going to just slide it down one more space, and then we can back up. And now I want to ungroup this one, and let's select all of our strips here. So I'm going to do this from the layers panel. Hold your control key and click on each one of the strips, and then we're going to weld those. Combine, weld. So now you've got this big kind of pinwheel looking shape. So now if you take all of that and you rotate that 45 degrees, voila. I'm going to group those together for the moment, and then you can slide that over and you can see how that fills that in nicely. So this is to make your faux card, and let me think. From this step, this is definitely easier than the way I did it the other day. If you leave it square instead of on point, it just makes it a little easier for you, or at least it did for me. So now we want to center everything. Whoops, let's just get everything selected there. Align and center. And so from this point, you could go ahead and cut everything out. Now before I do that, let me just make another copy of that, because I might need it. I feel like I might need it. So now we've got everything selected here, and I'm going to, well, I need to slice some or ungroup some stuff first. So let's ungroup, and there's probably some more grouped in there. So let's see, let's do it this way. Nope, I guess not. Okay, so again, we've got that welded. So let's select that and this square here, and let's do a slice. And we can take that away. And you know what I should have done? I should have duplicated that first. But there you go. There's your pieces. I'm gonna reverse myself, because that's just what I do. I'm going to duplicate that because I want to save it. I might need it. Oops, I didn't go back far enough apparently. Okay. That's the great thing about this. Control Z lets you go back, or you can use your undo arrow up here, which looks like a U-turn arrow. All right, so I'm going to select all that again. And well, I don't want to select it all. I don't want the square. I don't need the square. The square is going to cut out anyway. So now we can slice it. There we go. I don't know if I'll need that, but I'll save it just in case. And there are your pieces for your card front. Now, here's where you have, there's so many different ways to do this. It's hard to cover all of them. What we've done here is we have selected our matting layer, which leaves us a nice border around the edge, a frame, if you will. So these background pieces are actually going to cover this, except for where these cuts are, right there, where your aperture lines are. If you actually want to frame another frame around it, you would actually do this smaller again. So I may just go ahead and do that on the side, and then I'll put the template in here and I'll mark them like I did over here. But just know that you can do that. You do have a lot of options. I don't know about, let's see, oh, I don't want that one. Let's just move that way out of the way. I just want this one. I think I'm going to group it and I'm going to duplicate it. And the reason I'm doing that is because I also want to change the color. Let's make that a bright purple or plum. I'm going to see if we can change this to 3.75. I mean, I know we can. What I don't know is if it will work properly. Okay, so are these grouped together? Did I group those? Yes. All right, so then you slide that in, and you can see it gives you an extra frame around there. So you basically have your card. In this case it's white, but it could be any color. So your card is a frame around this aperture portion, yeah. Then you've got the blue layer, which is a matting layer, which also becomes a frame. And then you've got your pieces that you lay down. Now, again, there's many different ways you can do this. You can take this square and cut it out of the same color and then just put your sentiment across the top there. You could cut it out of a different color. You could easily change the color. Because this is all essentially one piece. Let me see here. Where is it? Oh, it's all grouped together. Okay, it's all one color, but you could ungroup everything, and you know, there are ways to just select the piece that you want if you want it in a different color. If you want to make multiple cards, you just keep cutting this out of different card bases or cardstocks or DSPs, and then you can just interchange these pieces from different, say a coordinating card pack. That would be nice, or paper pack. So anyway, there you go. There's what we have so far. I will probably go ahead and upload the other video just because there's more detail in it, but it is long. It's an hour long. So only if you're really interested in this would you be interested in trying that. The other thing I did in that video was I do show you how to take each one of these pieces and make them smaller using your offset, and by doing that then you have it's so complicated. Like I said, there's so many different ways, but you can also just duplicate this and turn this whole thing into a score instead of a cut. You can score. I always look for this, I can never find it. So there's your score lines, and the advantage to those is they kind of help you know where to place these pieces. Since you would have this layer behind it, which unfortunately is the same color right now, but you would have this layer behind there. It allows you to know where to place these pieces a little bit more easily. Again, personal preference, you don't have to do that. It's basically the same layer, it's just one's a cut layer, one's a score layer. You'd center everything over the top of each other and you would have your card. So that's how you do that. Hopefully this is a little bit quicker. Like I said, I will post the other video. I'll post this one first, and then I'll share the other one in case you want more description. And I'll continue to keep working on this and trying to simplify it, because the other thing I did want to show you was you don't just have to use a square. That's what most people use, but anything with straight sides is going to work. So, and actually it wouldn't even have to be straight sides, but I'm not going to overcomplicate this today. Let's see what else we have here. You've got, what is that, the pentagon? Is that the hexagon, octagon? So you've got all these different shapes that you could do the same thing with. It does not have to be a square. It's got a straight edge, so you just work your way out from each one. Again, takes a little longer. Maybe I'll just make that a separate video. So maybe I'll just do one for squares, one for octagons, one for pentagons, whatever. And then you can take your pick. But again, what I will do, I get tongue-tied. What I will do is I will share these files in my Facebook group. I'll share the link in my Facebook group. So if you're interested in them and would like access to them, it's free access. You just join the group, which is also free, and then you can find the links to the Cricut Design Space files. So if you have any questions, please ask. I'm happy to answer. And in the meantime, thank you guys for joining me so much. I really appreciate it. This is Georgiana with Expressions Craft Studios signing off and wishing you all a very happy crafty day.